Alrighty, in today's video, we're going to be looking at 1.3, multiplication with whole numbers. All right, so a couple things you just need to know. Anytime you see a floating dot, like if it says like 2 and then a dot and then 3, that means multiplication. If you see parentheses, so like 2 parentheses 3, where the number is next to the parentheses, that indicates multiplication. And then if you see the cross sign, so 2 times 3, that means multiplication. Now, I will say the further you go in your math career, you will not be seeing this because this will start looking like a variable x. But for now, if you see it, it does mean multiplication. All right, the other things you need to know are your properties, just like addition. Multiplication has properties as well. First one is the commutative property. And if you remember from the addition, the order doesn't matter. So if I have 3 times 4 equals 12, that means the same thing as 4 times 3 equals 12. That means the exact same thing. So order doesn't matter with multiplication. Then we also have the associative property. And if I have 4 times 2, then times 5, that will give me 8 times 5, which is 40. It's going to be the same thing if I decide to do 4 times the parentheses of 2 times 5, because 2 times 5 is 10, and 4 times 10 is 40. So again, it's not going to matter the order of the parentheses. I'm still going to get the same outcome. So it does have an associative property. The identity property is not 0. So with addition, we add 0. With multiplication, if I multiply anything by 1, I get itself back. So 6 times 1 is 6. Therefore, that would be the identity where I start it, or I end it with what I started. Now, we do have the property of 0. Which basically just states anything times 0 is 0. So if you ever see 5 million times 0, the answer is still going to be 0. All right, so let's see how you do on identifying some of these properties. So looking at the first one, identify 8 parentheses 12 equals 12 times parentheses 8. So the big thing is just because it has parentheses doesn't mean it's associative. In this case, what has changed from the left to the right is the order of the numbers. So that would be commutative. So do watch out for stuff like that. All right, the next one, we have 0 times 57 gives me 0. So that would be the 0 property. All right, the next one would be 35 times 1 equals 35. And in this case, again, I'm multiplying by 1, so that's going to be your identity. Then your next one, we have 7 times 3 times 2. And then I now have parentheses 7 times 3 times 2. Notice this one has parentheses just like this one, but now the numbers aren't in different orders. The parentheses is in different places. That's what makes it associative. All right, so let's get into some multiplication type stuff. One thing you need to also know, there's one more property called the distributive property. You're going to see this a lot as well in your career. If you have a number on the outside of the parentheses and you have something else going on here, yes, you could technically do 8 plus 3 and then multiply it by 5. Or you can take the 5 and you can multiply to everything inside and the operation stays the same. So this becomes 5 times 8 plus 5 times 3. That would give you 5 times 8, which is 40. 5 times 3, which is 15. 40 plus 15 is 55. Also notice if I go here and I do 8 plus 3, that gives me 11. And then 5 times 11 is 55. So you can see that the property stands. All right, so let's utilize one. It wants us to rewrite it using the distributive property. So if I have 3 parentheses 10 plus 6, I have to distribute. So this is going to be 3 times 10 plus 3 times 6, which gives me 30 plus 18, which gives me 48. So get another one. 5 parentheses 7 plus 4 and distribute. So it gives me 5 times 7 plus 5 times 4. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 4 is 20. 30 plus 20 is 55. All right, so that's just utilizing the distributive property. All right, let's get into just regular old multiplication. This is called the vertical multiplication, which is what we saw with the addition and subtraction. So we have 18 times 5. All right, the way this works is you start with the ones and then you multiply everything. Then you would go to the tens and so on and so on. So 5 times 8 is 40. So you write the ones place, carry over the 4. 5 times 1 is 5, then add that extra remainder. So 5 times 1 was 5, plus the 4 gives me 9. There you go. So let's look at another one. So we're going to multiply. This time we have 26 times 34. I'm going to start with the ones place. 4 times 6 is 24. So I bring down the 1, carry over the 2. Then 4 times 2 is 8. And then I'm going to add that remainder. So 8 plus 2 gives me 10. So I write that result here. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the tens place. But when I do that, every time I go down the list, I need to add a placeholder. So if I was to go to the hundreds, I'd have 2 places. If I go to the thousands, I would have 3 places. So in this case, I'm just going to go to the tens. So the 1 gets a placeholder. So 3 times 6 is 18. So the 8 drops. 1 goes here. 3 times 2 is 6. Plus the 1 gives me 7. And then I'm going to add that result up. So 4 plus 0 is 4. 0 plus 8 is 8. And 1 plus 7 is 8. So I get 884. All right, let's look at another one. Number 5. It's going to ask us to multiply 15 times 32. You don't have to worry about it being smallest to largest. It's still going to work out. Not like verse subtraction. So I'm going to go 2 times 5, which is 10. So I drop down the 0, carry over the 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus the 1 gives me 3. I'm now in the tens place, so the 1s gets a 0. So 3 times 5 is 15. Drop the 5, carry over the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus the 1 gives me 4. Then I'll add the results. 0 plus 0 is 0. 3 plus 5 is 8. And then there's nothing to add in the hundreds place, so it's just 480. All right, let's look at some more. We're going to multiply. And it's going to look like this. 5 times 900. All right, there's a special rule here. Anytime you have a whole bunch of zeros, just add it to the end of your answer and then just multiply the numbers themselves. So 5 times 9 is 45. With the other zeros, it makes it 4,500. Let's look at another one. 30 times 600. I have 1, 2, 3 zeros. So I'm going to write 1, 2, 3 zeros. And then I'm just going to multiply the actual numbers. 3 times 6 is 18. So this becomes 18,000. This was 45. And that's it. So let's look at this a couple more. 400 times 500. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. And then 4 times 5 is 20. So that would give me 200,000. Let's do one more. 6,000 times 8,000. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. And then 6 times 8 is just 48. So that gives me 48 million. And I can do that real quick by just using this powers of 10 is what the technique is, but it's powers of 10 because it's a whole bunch of zeros. And then it wouldn't be homework if it didn't have at least one homework question, or at least one word problem, sorry. So this one's going to state, calculate the area of an elementary school playground that is in the shape of a rectangle that is 52 yards wide and 73 yards long. So draw it out. It's 52 by 73, vice versa, it doesn't matter. What you need to know about area of a rectangle, it is length times width. So you just have to do this number times this number. So that's 52 times 73. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 5 is 15. I'm now in the tens, so I put a placeholder in the ones. 7 times 2 is 14. Carry over the 1. 7 times 5 is 35 plus the 1 gives me 36. Add the result. 6 plus 0 is 6. 5 plus 4 is 9. 1 plus 6 is 7. And then 3. So the area here would be 3,796 yards squared since you actually multiply it. Area would be in squared units. All right, and that's pretty much all you're going to see in this section. If you end up having any questions, feel free to email me and let me know. Other than that, I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.